Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams. Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. We've got an awesome show for you today. I'm super excited to be recording this show because I have not recorded a podcast with one of our Flipped Lifestyle members in about 4 weeks because me, Jocelyn, and our children all got the coronavirus. We were positive for COVID-19, and it really took us out there for about a week or two. Jocelyn was down and out, sleeping, 20 hours a day. And then I got it about day 5 of her infection. And then mine lasted about a week, and then it turned into pneumonia. I ended up in the hospital. It was a really bad deal, man. Whatever anybody tells you about the coronavirus, take it from old Shane Sams here. It is the real deal. It took me out. And I dropped 20 pounds, and man, I am just now getting my lungs back and being able to get back on the mic. So I'm super excited and feel so lucky and so blessed to be back with you today after recovery a little bit and getting better and being able to serve an awesome member of the Flipped Lifestyle community on today's show. My guest today is Jane Anderson. She's from Australia, and she's got an awesome membership in business and personal branding. And we talk about a lot of big topics today. We talk about overcoming the fear of leading a large community. This is something that holds a lot of people back when they transition or go into the membership style of online business. So we bust through that fear. We also talk a lot about how to have ascension and tiers in your membership so you can create a pool of paying customers, but then have higher ticket customers above them. And we just cover a lot of great issues about getting a successful membership to grow and to scale. We even dabble a little bit in Facebook ads today. So I know you're going to love this show. I had such an amazing, fun time recording it with Jane. Again, I am just so blessed to be here and thankful for what I get to do every single day. And I know this episode is going to help you build a better future for your family. So without further ado, let's get the show going. Welcome to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week. Now, you may notice really from the get-go here, I'm a little more subdued than my normal boisterous self because I have had COVID and pneumonia for 3 to 4 weeks. And this is my first podcast recording back since being sick. And I could not think of anyone else I would rather be here with today than Jane Anderson, all the way from Australia. Jane, what's going on? How you doing?
Oh, Shane, you are an absolute trooper. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just in awe of what you've been able to get through over the last few weeks with yourself and Jocelyn. Wow.
Nightmare. The stuff of nightmare. Like, it's one of those stories that, like, when you're in it, you're like, am I going to die? Because I had to go to the hospital and everything. Like,
I saw the photos.
Am I going to become a statistic? And then but then a year later, hopefully it'll be like, hey, we made it. If we made it through that, then we can make it through anything. But I'm not here to talk about me. I've had COVID. I'm alive. I've survived. But I want to talk about you.
Well
so tell everybody about you and your background and what it is that you do online, Jane.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. So my background, I'm essentially you might as well say I do strategic communications and lots of personal branding type stuff. So I have a few parts to my practice. So I do speaking. So I speak at conferences and events when they existed. Remember the good old days? So we don't have too many of those at the moment with COVID. And then I do a lot of corporate clients. So I work with leaders and helping them to build their personal brand and to help them to really have a strong leadership presence, if you like. And then I have a public market. Public market's been a big year this year. It's a public market I see as really experts in their field. So thought leaders, coaches, consultants. A lot of people come to me for the business to business type space to be able to, how do you price things when you're going in and delivering, big programs to clients? How do I price my day rate? How do I work out my keynote fee and help them write books and create content? So what led me to all that was that I'd been in corporate. I'd run training and development departments for large organisations and in government here in Australia, And I always knew this is what I wanted to do. And it just, it started working a couple of days a week, a bit like a lot of our members in Flip Lifestyle was, I started coaching people on Monday nights and Saturday mornings and
then you went all in. You just went all in.
Yeah, like it's accelerator clutch, isn't it? Like it's hard, but once you sort of hit that point that you go, okay, now I'm right to go. So that was how I started. And then today is kind of where it's all at. So we have the community. I do a bit of corporate work, consulting, and speaking.
Did you, was speaking a huge part of your business, like revenue before the pandemic started and then everything shut down?
Good question. So a few years ago, personal branding was flavor of the 2 years. And I was at one point, I was on about 13 flights a week. Like
wow.
It was nuts. And it was great. And I learned a lot. And and one of the reasons I think that, really led me to you was that I learned, it was a great learning experience, but I realized that wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted. I live in a beautiful part of the world. I'm happy where I am. And I realized that I don't want to necessarily be doing 100 keynotes a year. I'm quite happy with, maybe 10, 15 at most. That's plenty. And I realized that, no, I like routine. I like to be able to be at home and, all that sort of stuff. So over the last couple of years, what I started to do is really say at one point, so a couple of years ago, I said, you know what, I'm going to spend a year of not doing any speaking. I've had enough. And also I had enough people in my community that I was like, I'm busy enough. I've got enough people to look after, because the more I speak, the more clients I get.
Yeah.
But then, of course, with that is that I realized that actually I'm having to put some kind of structure around this and get some kind of plan and some kind of infrastructure in place to manage this community.
Awesome.
And so that's kind of where I've got to now.
So the evolution, just so everybody's up to speed, is this is actually a really common evolution too. Like people go out and they network and they speak, then that leads to this, your name is now in the marketplace. So you start getting client work, right? Coaching, corporate work, like going in and doing trainings and things like that. So that's how you evolved. And now you've realized that you've started getting this following. You've got a community. Your audience is morphing into a community. So now how do we coalesce that community into what we would call a membership, a real thriving, large, impactful membership where you can like reach out and impact hundreds of people from your room instead of from the front of the room at a stage somewhere, basically.
Yes. And I think too is also just where your attention goes, because as you're growing, you're just trying to, I guess, be everywhere, talk to everybody. At one point, I remember starting my practice, when I was out speaking, I spoke in a nursing home. I spoke, I spoke to someone.
That's awesome.
I spoke to someone's dog if they would let me. But, it was just to get in front of people and just create momentum. But now we go, okay, well, that's achieved the goal and I'm happy to still speak. But like you said, is to be able to go, okay, there's got to be some kind of structure or system or process here and not having to go so scattergun and talk to so many people is now it's time to tighten it up.
So without getting into, I'm not talking dollars and cents here, but like, so you've got this membership community open, right? And are you you're still doing client work and things like that and trainings, I assume now. So what's the bulk? Are we 60, 40, 70, 30 client work to membership? Like what right now, like where is that percentage at where you're like, I want to get this membership to this percentage, but like right now it's only this percentage, of your business.
Yeah. So, well, because COVID hit, all the corporate work pretty much went. So all the speaking went as well. And so speaking made up about, when I started, a few years ago, it was probably about a third of my business. And now it's probably about 10%. And I'm quite happy with that. For my corporate training is this year that pretty much went. So but normally that was probably about 40% of my business. And then coaching and public training, so workshops that I would sell to people who just wanted to come by themselves, and then and my coaching programs that made up probably about 60% of my revenue.
Oh wow, yeah. So the cool thing is, and I think a lot of people have learned this, and I've been banging the drum for a while on this, even before COVID, is that the membership model creates a floor on your
Mm,
business. That's what
mm,
the real beauty of it is. It is infinitely scalable. We say that a lot. Like you can have, I mean, we know people that have 5,000-10,000 members in the community, right? So like
right.
there's this huge ceiling, but like when you have 1,000 people paying you X dollars a month, it doesn't ebb and flow like, oh, all the speaking gigs got shut down or the big client turned me away. And if you can, and we don't ever want people to stop doing the other things. Like we coach, I'm about to open a coaching program over Black Friday, right? Like so we got all kinds of things that we sell and do. But like, if you can get that membership to be that 60%, 70% of your bottom line, you don't have that craziness. You don't have that chaos. You don't have that fear. You're like, yeah, those people are pretty much going to pay me this month. I just got to go add a few more for the people that leave. And then you have the freedom to go do the things you want to do. Like I'll do 10 keynotes because I don't have to do 100 anymore because I got this membership here that's like the base of everything. It's the floor. My floor is higher than everybody else's ceiling.
Yes.
That's the mission. It's like those. I always say it's like those. You ever go to the beach and those houses are on stilts and like you park under them? Like that's the kind of house we're building. We're building the house that's above the flood line, baby. It's not going to wash us away. We got some security underneath this bad boy.
That's so true. I love that metaphor because that's the feeling, I guess, since starting with you. And, I sort of meandered through starting some kind of community and membership model earlier this year when COVID hit. And that's definitely the sense it's created is you can breathe and to be able to go, I'm not awake stressing about cash flow and, constantly doing cash flow projections and, going, okay, what have I got to, because, we've got to get on the phone, we've got to do sales calls, doing all that sort of stuff creates a lot of stress and pressure. So, just like you said, that floor is to be able to go, right, I know that's there. And now I can work on the next thing. Whereas you feel like, like you said, you get this lumpy revenue. It's like a roller coaster every month.
We had this, we have a button where we can click and it's called our future income report, which is totally different than in other business models. You're looking at maybe last year to kind of anticipate what might happen this year. But like you can literally, once you know your numbers good enough, like, like the average person stays this long, and then you stick it into some kind of dashboard, you can predict pretty accurately 3-6 months in advance, like what you're going to make like every month.
Yeah.
And that makes it really easy to make like decisions and like hiring people, firing people, like how much can I spend on ads this month? That's, well, I'm going to make this month, so maybe we can invest this,
Yes.
So it's really cool. So tell me where you're at right now, where your membership is, how you feel about it. And like, where are you stuck right now? Like what's going forward and growing the membership and making it an even bigger chunk of what you're doing?
Yeah, thanks, Shane. I've got we're in a couple of things. So one thing that specifically happened in April when COVID hit, we went into lockdown here in Australia in March. So at that time, traditionally people like me who do a lot of B2B type selling, and also we've written books, we speak at conferences, we traditionally, unless our businesses are, 3 million plus, we don't always necessarily invest in things like Facebook ads because we're in front of audiences and we're doing webinars and we're doing all this stuff all the time anyway. And also we probably have done a lot of work on positioning. And so we're proactive in getting out and talking to a lot of people. So back in April when that hit, my first instinct was, okay, everyone's going to need content, but I've got to work out also, I've got to get a lot of people on my list to get through COVID because I don't know what's going to happen, but all I'm seeing is lockdowns. So I ran an event and online and created a free content creation boot camp for a couple of, I ran it for 2 days. We got 500 people and I calculate a piece of content at somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 return that it should get for someone in their business. So we calculated it all. It was absolutely nuts. I had 5 people helping me. People created around $53 million worth of content in 2 days, which was awesome.
Yeah. Was it like a speaker? Was it like a summit kind of like multiple speakers or anything like that? Or
No, it was just
you?
me and a Facebook group. That's how we ran it. So we had 8,500 questions and comments in the Facebook group. Yep. It was nuts. But the best thing out of it was what I designed it for was to kick off the community at a bigger level. So we had 50 people sign up off the back of that. And so I was like, okay, I think there's something in this, and around the pricing kind of worked and things like that. That was a good start just to see how we went.
What did you launch the price at when it launched?
So I launched, so I valued it all at $200 a month. And I did a special price point at $79. So all those people are on grandfather pricing. And that has now gone up to if people come through a deal or something, is $97 a month. But we do have some people who come in and just pay full price up front. They'll pay $2,000 up front. They go. So how that particular program works is Content Club is we get together every month and I hold the space for 2 hours, and they create 10 pieces of thought leadership or world-class IP in that 2 hours. And I run that on 4 time zones. So Eastern Australia with New Zealand, I do Perth, Asia, then the UK, and then I do the US. And I do that all in one day. So I work, it's a long day.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So do you coach them through the content creation and everything and the personal branding? That's a great service.
They're actually doing, it's an implementation. So they're actually doing it, Shane. So I hold the timer for 10 minutes. They know exactly what they've got to do. And myself and the community are there because they're really well-read people. People will be stuck on, I'm trying to find some research on, engagement in organizations. Where would I find that? And so I'll usually know the link, or someone in our community go, oh, if you have a look at this Forbes article, I've got it here, and here you go. So people are very open and sharing, but also I'm well read and I'm a good researcher. So I remove the blocks for them. Whatever they're stuck, they walk out with that content done.
That's awesome. And everyone is in this one Facebook group. Is there what creates the community? So I would call that like the leadership component, like where you show up, right? Like our Q&As. That's what we do for our people.
Okay.
So that's that. So then do you have content baked into this that they can access at other times? And then also do they just get to be able to have a free for all discussion in this Facebook group or somewhere else?
Yeah, they've got the Facebook group. They can ask any questions anytime. I also run a little bit of like once a month, I'll also run a session just to do some Q&A type stuff where the timer's not on. So if people want to bring questions, things like that. What I've done is I realized after working with you was that I needed a layer under that, which was just people who are in the community accessing content, don't necessarily want the pressure of creating all that, but just want to be in the community. So that I've created a lower level one, but that's sort of when you talk through the ascension model in some of your work, that we haven't had anyone come in at that lower level, but I'm using it as the price point that if people, because what I noticed was some people would say, people see you like a gym membership, don't they? They go, can I just put my membership on pause this month?
Right.
So I had to explain to them that, well, that's fine. The only thing is that you're going to lose access to everything. So we can't just, delay your membership. So what I realized was that when I said to them is that, you're going to lose access to the community. And then they go, oh, no, don't cancel me then.
So you created a downsell, basically.
A downsell.
Yeah.
So,
you'll find that people don't come in those lower tiers. It's crazy because especially if you're good at like positioning on an options page, but then sometimes like we've got tiers like that we've used in the past for people, but we don't put them publicly because nobody ever takes them. And it's like, it just didn't affect anything, There's even an argument there. I've seen some people like that community level thing. It's a weird thing because there's an ebb and flow, a yin yang of content and community in a membership. Right. And if you get the balance wrong, like everybody just quits. And if like, so like you got to be careful, like what the tier is if you give it free. But there is an argument even for letting people have community type access, but maybe not be able to get like the workshops and the Q&As. You know what I'm saying? And then they feel like they're a part of it and they never actually leave.
Yeah.
So you can get them back when they're ready to unpause or,
Yeah, that's
whatever.
and that was really great advice that you had, just to know that that's okay, because that's what we're noticing is I'm not marketing that. It's just there as a buffer.
It's just there. Yeah, it just keeps them around. Don't leave.
Yeah.
Don't quit. We're still here for you,
Yeah, it's good to have an alternative solution for them too. And then, but and I'm getting to my question, but the thing that I implemented as a result of starting to work with you was I realized that there was a next level up that I needed for the community. Yeah. So this is a $10,000 a year program. And so that's accountability. I'm really good at accountability and making people do stuff. So this one was, whilst that was about content creation, this is about selling. So each week, this group of people turn up for 2 hours each week instead of 2 hours each month, like content creation. So they turn up 2 hours each week. And in that 2 hours, they're implementing their sales. So they're doing their sales calls. They set a target. They tell me what they're going to be focusing on, how many leads they want to get, how many, so it's accountability, and I call it bum glue.
Right.
So I launched that off the back of starting this work with you. So we have 10 people in that program that bought that. So, just getting started with you, that's generated, nearly 100,000 in revenue for the year.
See, that's what happens when you hang around me long enough. Money's going to come out and just start falling out of the sky somehow. It's not always how I think it's going to be, but we figure it out. We work through it together. You know what I mean? That's a great idea, that higher tier. Do you charge monthly for that, or do you charge like they got to pay up front?
No, monthly, and but they could pay up front if they really wanted to. We did the same the quarterly pricing, and we did all that. So it really made me realize that actually I needed to start with what I already had in the community, and knew I could optimize people in there before I went and started to work out other people and start to chase more people for the content club.
We have another person in the community who's very similar to you. She has a $12,000 product, and we told her, like, you need to have a membership, like to create stability, because her problem is she helps people they succeed so well. Her success rate's so high. At 12 weeks, they're gone. Right. So she has this ebb and flow in her revenue. That's terrible. And it's always chasing leads. You know, that rabbit hole you go down. Yeah. Well, I told her, and she said, I just don't know if I can deliver this result in a membership thing. And I said to her, why does the membership have to deliver that same result? That makes absolutely no sense. Like, the membership creates a pool of people who a percentage of them will want that result, that higher result. But if you have this paying members of 500 to 1,000 people, you'll never not sell when you open and close that thing, those 10 spots. And that's what I was telling her. Like, but the problem what people do is they try to turn their coaching program or their courses into a membership. It's not what you got to do. You got to figure out what's the result the members need to get, and then how does that result lead to the next level. And once you do that, you have this weird machine running where it's like, I got my free people, I got my paying people, I got my high ticket people, and I've got plenty of cash flow plus a high floor. Right.
Yes.
So you've got all the components there for this to blow up. So like, where are we stuck? Why aren't we blowing up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I'll tell you what I guess there's a couple of things you said. You said about, people don't come to you people think they come to you for a plan or a strategy, but what they're really coming to you is for leadership and friendship, was what you said. And I was like, bingo, that's exactly spot on. And that really resonated. So up till now, what I've done is my golden rule. This is, we all have sacred cows in our businesses. So my sacred cow has always been, There's a bit of work that's been done by a gentleman called Robin Dunbar. He's a social anthropologist. And so the thing that I teach in my practice is I teach Dunbar's work, or Dunbar's metrics. So Seth Godin talks a lot about them. And it's essentially saying that we have enough bandwidth for 150 people. And so for us as experts, particularly, when we're working a lot of B2B space and things like that, it's high intimacy with customers, as opposed to an internet marketing model where you're going for volume, if that makes sense. So,
Sure.
So the thing that I know my blog is not, I won't say blog, but more help me understand is how, when I came in with this, I was like, great, all I have to do is build that community of 150 people. I know those people well. I already know our community well. I know each of their businesses. I've got a good sense of what they're doing. When you run the numbers, and when I've listened to other people on the podcast, they've had, over 1,000 and 1,500 and things like that. So I guess I have a fear about too many people.
That's a common fear that we get. We've seen this happen to people actually too. It's people always feel like we hold them back, I think, sometimes, because we're always like, launch your beta with 20 to 50 people. You've got to get used to leading a group, right? And we had Chris and Ivy Newport. They're actually in the Funnel Mastermind, and they launched and got like 500 people the first day, and they were happy because they were like, oh my, what is happening, right? And then we were like, yeah, awesome, right? And they were like, I told you should have capped it though, because now you're freaking out because you could have rolled that open and still got the same amount of members, right? Because it is overwhelming to go to this. It's not even one to many, it's one to the masses, right? And the way that I clump it together, because we have hundreds of people that we deal with, and it's weird because you still get this sense of like you recognize them, but I don't know their businesses intimately at the community level. I know you, and I know your business because we are you're in one of my workshops right now. And like, I get to know people at the higher tiers for sure. Right. And there are community members who have just their stories erupt, or they end up on the podcast, or, that we do get to know more intimately. But we don't have to know all those people at that bottom tier. What we need to know are the archetypes. And we have to speak to people in terms of archetypes. So what I mean by that is there are certain groups of people in the community who are all doing the same thing. Like we have the idea people, right? These are people who are past the dreaming stage, right? And they're in the idea mode and they're trying to come up with their idea. We have the people who are the product mode people. Like these are our, we might have 100 to 200 people in the community at any given time who have reached phase 3 and they're actually building the product, the courses inside of the membership, right? And then we have people at the marketing level. We have people at, doing different things. So I always think of the community in terms of that. Like when I'm on a member call and we've got 200 people on a call, I know that my cap in that call is only going to be, 10 to 15 questions. There's no way I can answer everyone's question. It's just not possible. But that's not what they're paying for. They're paying to be surrounded by people who are like-minded, to be inspired by stories of people like them who are making it, and to hear me ask and answer categorical, archetypical questions, right? Wow. So I know when someone says, I'm struggling between my idea, here's this and this, can you help me research it? When I answer that question, Jane, I know that I'm serving the entire archetype of that person in my community. Right. There's 50 people that just got the answer that they needed, and I don't have to know them intimately. I don't have to know everything about their website and their business. I don't even have to answer their particular question, right? Right. And so that's how you have to absorb the leadership of a large group of people. It's almost like a pastor at a church. Like if you lead a church with 500 to 1,000 people, you're not going to know everyone intimately. Okay. But you can speak categorically every Sunday from the pulpit about a topic that matters to most of them, or a big portion of them. And that really helps me because, I had to, Jody Moore, have you ever heard of Jody Moore? She's a member of the Flip Your Life community. She runs a huge community now. She's got 4,000 people in her membership. Wow. Yeah, she's amazing. Absolutely amazing. She helps Mormon women, Mormon wives like with mindset issues and life issues and things like that. So she
Wow.
has this one to many mentality leads us to huge thing. But she said something really interesting on the Membership Masters podcast when I had her on there. She was like, the sooner you can relieve yourself of the burden of knowing everybody intimately and everything that's happening and serving everyone one-on-one, the bigger your impact you can make.
Right. Okay.
So think of it like that. Like I would guess in Content Club, you have your own archetypes, and you can even like treat these like baby avatars. Like you can name them and everything, right? Like Jocelyn has like, we have yearners, learners, earners, burners. Like we got this little system that we call people like, oh, that's a yearner. They're in the dreamer stage, right? That's a learner. They're trying to figure out their idea. That's a burner. They're staying up all night building courses, right? And if you can think about maybe 10 categories of people, the journey that all your people would go through to be successful, then it's off you. I don't have to know Fred. I don't have to know Cindy. I just have to know the group of people that needs the answer to this question right now.
Okay.
And you can't answer everybody's question. You can't go in, but you can provide them the resources to get the answers. And that's what we do as membership leaders.
That's great. And I love that about relieving the burden, as Jody says, of that intimacy but if you can work through, and you're right, like I have a model that shows what level people would probably be at in their journey in the content creation. So I can use that, and I'll be able to go back and work out, okay, we've got, maybe 10 people who are at this level and we've got 20 at that. So
I'll tell you another
really
thing
helpful.
here too that really helped me too. A buddy of mine named Cliff Ravenscraft. I don't know if you've ever heard of Cliff. Cliff's a good friend of mine, and he said something to me one time when our audience started growing, when Flipped Lifestyle started growing. We were really deep in with our first members, right? So like we or our first customers. We had like we did beta groups of 25 people. Right.
Okay.
Practicing what we preach over here. And we got to know those 25 people for 8 weeks. And then we got to know the next 25 people for 8 weeks. And we started really getting to know these people. Then we launched the membership, and the first webinar we had 120 people join. And we already had like 60, 70 people in this cohort. So we blew through this 200 number mark. You cannot keep up with that anymore.
No.
Right. So Cliff, I sent him a message, and I was like, man, our audience is really growing. He's from Kentucky too.
Right.
And so I was talking to him, and he said, Shane, look, here's what you have to do. You have to do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. And then through that, everyone else will benefit from it. So that's why the podcast is what this is. Like I'm right now doing for you what I wish I could do I wish that I could sit down with every family, every person, everyone that wanted to change their future through the membership model. But I can't, but I can do for you what I wish I could do for everyone. And now everyone else, tens of thousands of people will now hear this. And there's people in their car right now going, dang, man, this is doing for me. Like I'm getting as much out of this as Jane is, right? Like, so when you embrace that too, that mindset, like, take your higher tiered people and go deeper than you've ever went before and do that. And then when you're doing a Q&A, it's like, I'm going to answer 10 questions. There's going to be 50 questions, but I'm going to give them the answer I wish I could give to everybody. And I'm going to choose questions that I think can serve the broadest group of people. And that will give them an opportunity, a chance at what you serve them with. And that's all you can give people as an opportunity at this level,
Okay.
Because I want to have 10,000 people in the Flip Lifestyle community 5 years from now. Like I can't do that in the old way of one-on-one, but I can give 10,000 people a really good chance at winning. And then I can give the people on I can give 52 people a year what I wish I could give to everybody else right on the podcast.
Got it. That's super helpful. I'll be able to work with that for sure. And I think, the more you think about that, just in how you were phrasing that about impact, it is about impact, isn't it? And it's, actually, there's to do that, you have to let go. And there's a little bit of ego, I think, attached to that, isn't there? That you have to go, actually, it's not even about me. It's about making sure that it's not just about my attention with each of these individual people. It's about the impact. And if you can focus on the impact, you can get the ego out of the way.
And it's weird because like when the impact, you realize really quickly when you get enough, when you see the membership scale, like usually it's somewhere around 250 people. Like when you start getting broader than that, you start realizing like these stories start coming at you that you had no clue, had nothing to do with them. Like people will write us success stories sometimes, and we didn't even, like Jody Moore, for example. Jody Moore was in the community. I remember her name, and I remember her being on Q&As. And then about 4 years later, someone else, she mentioned us on her podcast. And one of our listeners who also listens to her podcast sent us a message that said, "Did you know this?" And I was like, "No, we had no clue." And we had nothing to do with the first part of her journey, learning the membership model. How do you build community? How do you create content? How do you lead? She took that and ran with it, but it happened without independent of me or Jocelyn. Right.
Right.
And when you see those stories start to come in, you realize how little about you it really is. You're just the spark. You're just the connector to connect them with the right people in your community, to connect them with you. And then all of a sudden crazy things happen that make you cry and get you inspired and like, get you fired up. But it's because you just got to let go. And, it's like leading a team. Like there's people that can do stuff better than you, and you just got to let them do it,
And so on that, can I ask another question?
You can ask any question you want. You got me.
Okay.
I'm here.
So you did a great interview with Michelle, Dr. Michelle, a little while ago, and you talked a bit about practitioners and people licensing your IP. That was valuable. And my question is I'm in a similar situation, but I have marketing consultants, virtual assistants who teach my marketing methodologies. So I have a methodology called Expert to Influencer. And that was essentially where the community kind of started. It was all the alumni of people that I'd put through that program. But I got very busy quickly and I had to start getting other people to do it. So I have 12 licensed practitioners at the moment who deliver that IP. At the moment, what happens is that those people are in our, so at the moment, I'm sort of in the process of moving everyone into this and selling the community model for people who haven't come into Content Club or Joyful Selling. There's this group of people that are sitting in an alumni Facebook group at the moment, but they're also the practitioners' clients. So I let their clients join our wider community of people who are applying the methodology. So my question to you is with the practitioners, because we've just set up Kajabi, like I feel like I've moved the Titanic over the last 6 months.
You have done a lot of work.
We've done
I just shake my head every week when you're like, you did what? How is that possible?
Man. So with the practitioners, do I put them, so I'm a bit lost on what to do with them. Do I set up, I think with Dr. Michelle, you talked about setting up a separate Kajabi area for them, but also for their clients. What I've included in their annual fee is every time they bring a client on, we also charge a fee for when they bring on a new client to give them all this stuff and the online course and everything. So what should I do with their clients? If their clients come into the lower price point one, which is kind of where they are now, if they were to come into something like that, I'm thinking that that's part of the pricing for their client. Like we give them, that's like a lifetime membership or something like that. I'm not really sure how to go about with their clients and then the practitioners.
So so let me just think through this because it's okay. So you have people that are like baby Janes, like you give them your stuff, they go teach your stuff to other people, basically.
That's it.
All right. But this is definitely client work right now. Are you're taking a cut of their coaching clients, or are you charging those people like a certification fee every year?
Yeah, they're charged a certification fee to do the training and be certified up front.
Okay.
Then they pay an annual, so that's $3,500 up front for that training. Then they pay an annual fee, which is $250 a year. And that gives them access to me, monthly webinars, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For every client that they bring on, they also pay for a diagnostic as well. So, they can assess their clients properly and things like that. They if they bring on a new client, they then pay me. So then it's, I think we have it as $250 for that they pay me. That gives the client access to a copy of the book, access to the online course. They also come into our community. And so for that,
okay, stop right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So they pay you $250, and then does that basically make them like if I joined a monthly thing, that basically makes their client like me, even though I joined outside of the network or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Is that correct?
Yeah. So you
same member. We're getting the same stuff. It's just they came
getting the
through
same
them.
stuff from me. Yeah, you just came through them. Yeah. So the benefit to the practitioner is that, they're usually a fairly small operator and they don't have database and they're not used to managing a community and a big group of people. So that's why I go, just put them in with us, because there's all these other people using the methodology and they won't feel so alone.
So that way they don't have to create their own little pocket communities. They get to be a part of the big family, but they get to work independently, kind of like satellites or whatever.
That's it.
But you get a one-time fee, and then they end up in the community. So you do not get a monthly member necessarily out of that, correct?
Yeah, not at the moment. They're just sitting in a Facebook group that's an alumni of all our past clients. So whether I just leave them in there or give them the option to perhaps join the community after 6 months or something.
I wonder if the better solution there would be all right, let me think this through because I might say this wrong. So I wonder if the better solution would be to turn those practitioners who are certified to teach your method. I wonder if you should just turn them into affiliates. And then here's what would happen then. So take that 250. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to get 250 from them if they bring a client on. But what if this happened? What if instead of that person's main job was to teach them your method and do the one-on-one work, but and then they had another job of, hey, you really also need to join this community. So they would have and you would incentivize this by giving them a 50-50 monthly split. Yeah. So now what happens is you get this long tail start forming, right? Like, okay, so instead you don't get the 250 up front, that's fine, whatever. But like you do get like this person now has massive incentive to sell your membership for you. And if you start stamping those people out and all of a sudden you've got 50 to 100 people doing it, you've got people putting 10 members, 20 members a week into your membership. Yeah, so that's going to stack over time, and LTV on that would probably end up being more. So now they get to serve the person and they get to lead them and do that. And once they're done with them, because I would say that one-on-one relationship ends, you keep the member paying you monthly going forward, and you keep serving them, and you have the opportunity to upsell them and to do those things. So what you might do, lower the fee to $100, but then incentivize them to sell them into the community at $97. They're an affiliate. They're going to get $50 a month now too, that they're not making now when those clients leave them. Yeah. So all of a sudden they're going to start getting a couple $100, $300, $500. It'll stack for them just like it would you. So you're almost like stamping out your own affiliate army, basically, when you do that. And you're making a good chunk off the certification and as well,
Okay, that makes sense.
And also too, like maybe you just let them do their thing and don't worry about it right this second. You don't have to implement that today. No, worry about getting the 1,000 members first, and then you can do whatever you want.
Okay. And then just on that, with just one last question, if it's okay, about Facebook ads. So sure. I noticed one of the challenges that for expert like us, as I said, we're out on stages and we're doing all sorts of stuff. So the last place we end up is in Facebook ads, which is why I'd put off building a membership community for so long, because everyone I'd come across would say, oh yeah, and you do this Facebook ads strategy and blah, blah, blah. And it was only that you did an interview with someone, or you were doing some training. It was in your initial training, and I thought, okay, I'll sit and watch yours as well. And it was just a passing comment that you said to someone. This person said to you, I don't have budget for Facebook ads. What do I do? And you said, just run a webcast every week. And I went, hallelujah, that's exactly what experts do anyway. So, so my question to you is that for for the process, so from here with Facebook ads, the balance of Facebook ads versus what we already are doing. So if we're already doing, like someone like me, if we're already doing things like a webcast every week, and we go out, and because we have to reach out to people on LinkedIn more so sometimes than Facebook, because we're getting those ideal clients through there, but quite often it's Facebook too. But do you recommend that just continue to do all those other lead generation activities that we've typically been doing anyway, and then in my case that I've been doing, I'll go and I'm continuing to work through all the Facebook training that you've put us through, but I just wondered, how much do I need to focus on Facebook ads if we have some of these other lead generation activities?
Facebook is it's like 5% of the puzzle.
Okay.
I know people that are like, oh no, my whole business is based on Facebook, and that's great. That's your lead generation. For us, it's a part of it. Like if we've got something we need to promote, or like we want to get leads mostly. So like if I'm going to do a Facebook ad, I want an email on the other end of it, because once I get you on my list, I've got you.
Okay.
Right. So I think even like going back to kind of the beginning of this, like that thing you did where you got 500 people and you did this big thing like that, I would do those over and over, and I would do the same thing like every other month and run Facebook ads to opt in for that. Like do the boot camp again. You already know how to do it. You've already got it set up. You can say the exact same thing every time. It's new people, right?
Right.
So maybe use Facebook to enhance what you're already doing and you've already done well. Like for example, if you spend $1,000 on Facebook ads to the next one, if the last one got 500, well, maybe you get 1,000 new emails and members, whatever.
Yeah.
So like that's the main point of it. But it's just the top of a funnel. Right. It's just a way to get more people in. Like I promise you, ads are not our main strategy. Like our main strategies right now, well, before I took a month off of my life for COVID, was guesting on other people's podcasts.
Yes.
Building relationships. That's why Membership Masters actually was started. It was to deliver more people. That second podcast is definitely to deliver great content. But it was basically a vehicle where I could open the door and say, now I can have anyone on my podcast and open a relationship. And then we go on guesting, we get in front of other people. We try to do affiliate. Maybe we're going to start doing like affiliate webinars with people. And like, that's kind of what our main focus is that Dream 100 networking strategy. Facebook is there. Like I'm going to run some Facebook ads. We're recording this on November 17th or something, 16th. Okay. And next week's Black Friday. So I will definitely have ads going next week for our Black Friday promotions. Right.
Okay.
But like, I'll tell you another thing we're doing crazy, Jane. So we have a commercial printer because we print the Membership Masters newsletter here on site. And like my kids pack the envelopes when we mail them out.
That's
okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, but like we today we printed, what was it? Something like 4,000 or 5,000 sales letters. And we're going to mail those to all of our United States addresses that we have in our database of clients and past things or whatever for this Black Friday promotion. So we spent $1,500 last week on stamps instead of Facebook ads. So it's not like we're obsessed with Facebook. It's just the greatest example of I can spend money here to get people on my list and then talk them into joining.
Yes.
But it's what you're doing that's working is where you should spend your time and money. You don't have to do Facebook ads for sure. But they're there, man. People are there. So you might as well try.
Yeah. I'm really excited about having a go. We're in the process of getting through a few little hurdles in loading like audiences and different things. So, but anyway, we're getting in and having a go.
If you could sell, if you could sell your big ticket certification thing through Facebook ads, you could probably, this would be a really interesting way to feed a membership in a loop. So so you got this big $3,000 certification, right? That's about the sweet spot of really getting good ROI in a very high market. Like you can spend $3,000 and make one back and maybe two and make some money. You could use your ad budget in Facebook and it would just stamp out your affiliates and then they would go out and start filling in your membership. So like that could be like, maybe you can focus on list building on these like challenges or events like that event you did. That would be a great way to get 500,000 new emails, whatever. But then you could also like you could use your budget like, hey, let's let's sell one of these, get $3,000, put it back into Facebook. Let's get some high ticket people and get them certified. Then we'll teach them how to put people in our membership on an affiliate to make more money. And then we'll just start rubber stamping those people out to where you're creating your ad budget is creating your affiliate army. Right.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. That's really helpful.
Like imagine if you had a loop, Facebook ad, certify. So you have this big certification program. I've got some people I can show you have great certification programs in the Flip Lifestyle community. But then they go out and get clients, and then they talk them into going into your membership. And then those people in your membership may certify. And then it just creates this loop.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's great. I hadn't thought about it from that angle. Thank you. That's helpful.
I just to kind of sum this all up, like I think that you have all the ingredients of an epic membership site and system and ascension ladder. And you're because you're a super exceptional worker and like you crush it. Everything you do is really professional and really, really good. And I think the biggest issue though is not going to be Facebook ads. It's not going to be the other thing. It's that mindset thing we talked about of just understanding that it's okay not to know all your members. And actually it's better because you're providing people an opportunity that may not have had it. They couldn't work with you, could afford it. Right. So if you can let go of that and just, I mean, you've got enough people already to just double what you're doing now. So, it's going to be awesome stuff. Well, was that helpful?
Thank you. That's awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, listen, I am so thankful that you were so transparent, and I know it's like nerve-wracking sometimes to lay all your business bare before the world. And this is such a different kind of podcast. But man, it was so helpful. And I know that a lot of people in our audience are going to get that value out of our conversation today. And somebody right now is writing down notes, and they're going to go out and they're going to get a ton out of this. So thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being an awesome member of the Flip Lifestyle community and for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you. And get well soon.
All right, guys, that was a great conversation with Jane Anderson. What an amazing member of the Flipped Lifestyle community. She is building an awesome membership that is going to have a major impact on a lot of lives around the world. And we believe that you can do the same thing. That's what we do every single day in the Flipped Lifestyle community. We give people just like you an opportunity to go in and learn how to start, build, and grow an online business, an opportunity to learn how to create and lead an amazing membership community, an amazing movement in your chosen space, in your niche. And we love having new people come into the community. We welcome you with open arms, and we can get you started right away, just like we've been helping Jane get her membership community going over the last few months. You can start a free trial right now to the Flip Lifestyle community. You can join the Flip Lifestyle community absolutely for free right now over at flippedlifestyle.com. Come on in, try it for a month. Check out all of our trainings. We can help you get started. Plus, you'll be added to the Flip Lifestyle Facebook group community. All that's for free at flippedlifestyle.com/free. If you've been listening to the show for a while, if you love the concept of online business, if you'd love to create a better future for your family, that's what we do over in the Flipped Lifestyle community. That's flippedlifestyle.com/free. I can't wait to see you there. All right, guys, that is all the time that we have for today. I'm pretty proud of myself for making it through this entire first episode back after 3 weeks of COVID and COVID pneumonia. And I only coughed a little bit. We're going to edit a couple of them out. You're not going to hear it, but I am feeling better. And I am grateful to be back here on the air with another member of the Flip Lifestyle community and with you wherever you are right now. I hope that you're safe. I hope that your family's healthy and strong, and that you have not had to deal with the coronavirus and the pandemic so far. But before I go, I'd like to leave you guys with a Bible verse. Jocelyn and I get a lot of inspiration and motivation from the Bible for business and for life. And we love to share a Bible verse at the end of every show. And I thought this one would be a great one for what we talked about specifically with Jane's fear today. In the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 15, the Bible says, "Go into all the world and preach the truth to every nation," every creature. And man, what a great verse. And like, you can't do that with a limited mindset. You can't do that with a one-on-one mentality. You can't take your idea to the masses. You can't take the impact that you want to make, and you can't take your mission in life And you can't do that one-on-one forever. Eventually, if you want to have a great mission, if you want to make a big impact, if you want to truly build something special for you, for your family, for your future community, for your future members, you got to go out. You got to preach it. I'm the membership preacher, baby. I come out every week and I'm preaching about the membership model. I was at an event a couple months ago, and I said, they said, "What are you interested in?" And I said, "Memberships." Nobody knew what I was talking about, but by the end of that event, there were 40 people in that room, and they wanted to start a membership because I am preaching the truth of memberships to every creature and every nation. And that's what you've got to do. Just like this principle from Christianity. I know what this is about. I know what this verse is about. It's taking the gospel and preaching it, but we can apply this principle to our lives. You can rid yourself of working one-on-one, and you can go out and you can speak to the masses, and you can give more people opportunities. And that's what it's all about. And that's what we do when we start our membership. So go out into the world, start preaching what you want to teach, baby, and start saying it to every creature, every nation. Tell everybody about it, and see if you can grow a big community that you can lead and you can provide opportunity to in your space as well. All right, guys, that is all the time we have for this week. I am so thankful for all of the prayers and thoughts and wishes and messages that we received. We received dozens and hundreds of messages from email on our Facebook group, on our Facebook page. And it really encouraged us as our family battled through coronavirus. I got it. Jocelyn got it. We were both very, very sick. Our son got it. He's 12 years old, and he was really down for the count. Our little girl did not get it somehow. But man, she was on her own, and she was taking care of us there for a few days. So we're just thankful for all you guys, thankful for our listeners, thankful for our audience, and thankful for all of our members out there in the Flipped Lifestyle universe. And until next time, get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. I'll see you then.